Pat, I have to tell you that when we had your slide up last week for your title, we all went, "Oh, that sounds like fun!" So we're excited about that. A quick bio for Reverend Pat Zogar, and thank you for being here. She has been a New Thought minister since 2001, has served in the Centers of Spiritual Living in Victoria and in Winnipeg and in Kamloops before being called to ministry at Unity of Nanaimo and assisting a union with Victoria and Comox, as well as Nanaimo, to form Unity Vancouver Island, which she continues to serve as associate minister. Pat, we're thrilled to have you here. I'm going to shut down these slides so you can come on screen and we can make you host here. I don't know how to stop this. I lost my mouse. Let me just work on that. If you want to go ahead, Pat, I'll work on shutting down these slides because I've lost my mouse somewhere.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, as Marilyn said, the power for the month of what month in September is order. And I always like to talk about the power. Order is such a good word. When I first think of order as one of our 12 powers, I think of tidiness. I think of things being right, proper, and correct. I also think of time, because time is a way of keeping things in order, and divine order includes perfect timing. But order has got a whole lot of other meanings and connotations. The first is that tidiness I mentioned. That helps to arrange things so that we know where they are, we know what's coming next, we can find things that are in the right place, in the right sequence. We often line people up in order. We might line them up in order of their height, like we did when we were kids, in order of their importance or of their time of arrival. We put people in order partly so we know we can find them. We should maybe think about pecking order too. There's pecking order in our families. That is kind of, we know who gets to do what, right? We put our house in order. We operate by order of the court. Divine order, of course, is when all those things are in the right place. Divine order. Now, the next use of order, the next kind of meaning is functioning. Things are either in order or they're not. They're out of order. They're in working order, they're out of order. They're not functioning or out of place. You know how sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel frustrated because I'm trying to achieve something or trying to overcome something, and it just keeps on going the same way. And you share that with a friend and they say to you, well, how's that working for you? You know what I mean? That's a little bit out of order. In other words, what they're saying to you is, are your habits and are your thoughts and beliefs and actions in working order for you? Maybe you need to reorder some things in your life. That's another use of the word order. Is it working for you? And then there's orders, and this in the sense of instruction, ordering people about, giving direction. That's where law and order comes in. So we might have a court order, a restraining order, a cease and desist order, orders that we have to obey. When we do, we live under orders of the law, of the courts, of the government. We might be under doctors' orders, and in a way, we're under orders from above, if you think of God as being up above and giving out orders. But that's not our version of God, is it? Our version of God is the power and presence that is always in order, that is everywhere, and that responds to us. That God, are you ready for this? That God follows our orders. God is standing by to do as we request. So the very unfolding of the universe is a reflection of the order of our thinking, our beliefs, our expectations, our intentions, our words, and our actions. Are they in divine order or are they out of order? And then I discovered, well, I didn't discover, it was there always. I thought of another meaning of order, as in purpose. in order to. So we plant a garden in order to have fresh produce to eat. We go to college in order to get an education. We go to Unity in order to fill in the blank for you. Why do you go to Unity? What order comes out of your going to Unity? So we have order as a noun, a thing, order as an adjective, a description. Now we have order as a verb. We order people about. We call a meeting to order. We order things online. But best of all, the meaning for order that I like is a request, an intention, an expectation. Eric Butterworth said, we don't get what we want, we get what we expect. So whenever we expect something, we're actually putting in an order for it. Just want to share with you a story from my past about how my intention, my very strong intention, brought things into perfect order. It was many years ago. I was candidating, studying to become a seminar leader in the S training. Some of you may know about many years ago. And part of our 6-month training meant we had to spend 3 weekends in San Francisco. And one of those weekends I was in San Francisco, and the facilitator dismissed the Friday evening session with a benediction and an instruction and encouragement. He said, go on, get a good night's sleep, go out, have fun, share the training, get a good night's sleep, come back here bright and early in the morning. Well, my roommates and I had traveled that day and we were pretty tired, so we just went to our hotel room and went to bed. I woke up with a flash in the morning realizing I have not done my homework, because embedded in his instruction to us was go out and share the training. And I knew that's why we were there. That's what we were told to do. Nobody else caught that. Anyway, so I got up all by myself, went out very early in the morning for breakfast, San Francisco alone. And I went to Smitty's and I was seated at one of those tables that there's a thing that lifts up in the middle that divides it into 2 tables. So I'm seated at one, and shortly 2 gentlemen are seated at the other half. And they sat down and they ordered chocolate sundaes. And I said, oh, that's an interesting breakfast choice. And Carlos looked at me and he said, you have beautiful green eyes. Will you marry me? And I said, well, I really can't do that because I'm just about to remarry my ex-husband. And he said, how did that happen? And I said, well, I've just done this thing called the S training. And Carlos threw his spoon across the table. And I said, you've heard of it? And he said, I was registered for it, but my Christian friends told me it was the work of the devil, so I withdrew. And in a flash of brilliance, this is the most brilliant thing I've ever done in my life. I did not argue. I did not give my elevator talk about the S training. I simply said, are you Christian, Carlos? He said, no, I'm not. Come with me. And he took my hand. This is about 6:30 in the morning, the streets of downtown San Francisco, walked me 4 blocks up an apartment building, 4 flights, knocked on his friend's door. His friend wrote him a check for $400 because they had promised to lend him the money. And so I went back into the Saturday morning session with a registration card and a $400 check in my pocket. I got certified that day. And not everybody who does the training gets certified, but I put myself in integrity and I set my intention to follow the orders. And natural order just unfolded beautifully, didn't it? So your order is an intention. Your intention is an order to the universe. And there's all sorts of layers of orders. There as requests, from a simple, Oliver Twist, please, sir, might I have some more, to a command. So we place our order. And that can be a verbal order, a written order, a whispered order, a shouted order, a mail order, an online order, a direct order, a tall order. Tall order is a big request, right? A side order. Oh, and by the way, God, while you're sending my perfect employment, could you also arrange for me to lose 20 pounds and find a new romance? That's a side order. And one way in which we place that order is prayer. That's what we do when we're praying or affirming, isn't it? We're placing our order. So in business, if you're in business, notably the fashion business, there's made to order. That's a very, very specific request. Measurements are taken and the garment is specifically prepared. It's made to measure. The order is the trigger in the manufacturing process that pulls the product into production. So made to order relies on specific customer demand, right? Can we apply that to prayer or affirmation? This is a specific demand. It's tailor-made, made to individual requirement. What do you demand? Now, if you were in the business of selling clothes, you could just make a whole bunch of things, put them out on a rack or on the internet, and people will come and buy them. They will buy what you made. But in made to order, we reverse that. We reverse that. People don't buy what you make. You make what people buy. Divine order is in both. Both work. But so in practical terms, you can get what you want, or you can get just as happy by wanting what you've got. Two ways to be happy, both perfectly acceptable. Kind of like in a restaurant, you know? A restaurateur can put out a buffet and people will just come and eat what's there. Or a restaurateur can wait until people come and tell him what they want and make that. And the universe is kind of like that. It has made a whole banquet of things and experiences for you to choose from. They're already made. And you don't have to place an order, you just get to choose from what's there already waiting for you. And equally, the universe will make to order to your specifications. And what's more, there's free delivery. So in a restaurant, we place our order with the waiter and we trust that what we order is going to show up after the appropriate amount of time. Divine, divine order. The waiter takes our order to the cook, who prepares it in her own divine time, and then gives it to the waiter to bring back to us. Our waiter is the intermediary between us and the chef, right? Once he takes our order, we let go, we don't worry about it, we trust, we carry on with our conversation and know that our order is being provided. And if we have any questions or concerns, we direct our questions to the chef through the waiter. In restaurants, we don't generally have direct access to the cook, right? But the one power and presence active in the universe and in our lives does not use an intermediary. It responds directly to us. Now, many faith paths think you do need an intermediary to reach God or the divine. A priest, a minister, an imam, a monk, Jesus, Mother Mary. Unity isn't like that. We teach that you yourself are the access point. It's like going directly into the kitchen and telling the chef what you want and how you want it. Unity ministers are more like the maitre d' than the waiter. We welcome you, we sit you down, we explain the menu, and then you make your choices, right? There's an old joke that there are two kinds of ministers, the shepherd and the rancher. Now, the shepherd holds your hand, visits you in the hospital, keeps you on the path, remembers your grandchildren's names and your cat's birthday, and feeds you if necessary. You think you want that, right? The rancher is what you need. The rancher is the minister who drives a pickup truck into the field, drops off a bale of hay, and says, "There you go." Our bale of hay is Unity's 5 basic principles. The condensed version is God is all there is. There's one power and presence active in my life and in the universe. Therefore, it's here, it's in me. Therefore, I create as God creates by thinking my universe into reality. And 4, we create by connecting in prayer and affirmation. And 5, it's not enough to know these truths, you've got to act on them. That's our bale of hay. There you go. Also included in that bale of hay is Unity's 12 powers. And to use the metaphor in kind of strange way, those 12 powers help you digest the hay and make it useful in your body. I think it's a good idea to remind ourselves often of what those 12 powers are. And so what I'd like to do is just kind of slow down for a minute and invite you to close your eyes if you'd like to. And I'm just going to slowly list those 12 powers and invite you to just take a moment to acknowledge how those powers show up and are useful in ordering your life. Are you ready? Faith, strength, wisdom, love, power, imagination, understanding, will, order, zeal, elimination, and life. There you go. So again, our power this month is order. And to me, there's two main aspects. And first is the natural order of the universe. It helps us to know that even when things seem mixed up, crazy, and jumbled in our lives, there is always order in the universe. Look to nature. In the overall scheme of things, no doubt, the things that we are currently have our knickers in a knot about are not really that important. My mother used to say, 50 years from now, who will even remember? So we shift our focus from what appears to be out of order to that which is always in order. The oneness, the one presence and power active in the universe and in my life, right? And the second use of order for me is that we can create our own order. We can order our own lives by ordering up that which we wish to experience. We do that with our thoughts, our beliefs, our intentions, our expectations, with our words, our prayer, our affirmation. And don't forget, our prayer is not begging or supplicating or pleading. It is affirmative prayer. It's accepting prayer. It can even be commanding prayer. To command is to give an authoritative order. You are authorized. You are authorized to give those authoritative orders. Command. There you go. I just have a couple of other notes that we can apply to our little metaphor here. Things can be back ordered. Have you ever ordered something and it wasn't available quite yet? Your divine orders can be a little bit like that to your life orders. As soon as the universe is available, as soon as this stuff is possible, it'll come to you. So trust. Hang on there in those back orders. There can be a change order. You can change your mind anytime, and the universe will oblige. And then there's the standing order. And that's, to me, that's our ground of being. That's the way we are. That's what we come from. So I could place a standing order. I already have. My standing order is, please help me live in integrity, in trust, in kindness, in peace, and in love. So that's order. When I go to Vancouver to speak, I made the mistake of doing a rap once upon a time. You may have heard it years ago at one of our Unity Canada. Anyway, each time I do a talk on order, I do a short rap about that order for them. So I have to do it for you too, please. I got the power of order. It's the perfect time. It's the perfect place for every dream of mine. I patiently pray and meditate, then patiently, confidently, happily wait. I raise myself up to a higher space and see the perfect order in this time and place. And so it is. There you go. So would you join me now in meditation? So just relaxing in our chairs, knowing that our bodies are supported and are cared for, that the inner workings of our body, perfect maintenance, perfect repair, perfect calming, soothing. And so we can turn our attention within, breathing deeply, following the breath, allowing the breath to relax our bodies, ease our jaws, smooth our scalp. And I'm going to once again move through the 12 powers. We have the power of faith. Faith is the substance of things unseen. Faith brings into reality those things which we aspire to, those things which we accept, knowing that the universe responds. We have faith. Strength, strength of mind, strength of intention, spiritual strength, strength of belief. Wisdom. The wisdom of the ages is present all around us. We intuit it when we go into meditation. When we stop, when we breathe, when we open ourselves to answers. Wisdom. Love. Love is the very foundation of the universe and of life. It is the power that propels us forward, that enables us to achieve great things, to spread our light in the world. Power. This is the power of the divine. This is not personal power. This is the presence in each of us of the one power that drives the universe. Imagination, the beginning of creation. Imagine opening ourselves to ideas from the infinite. Understanding, deep, active listening. The intention to stand under, to have a foundation that unites, to discover a mutual truth. Will, the ability to persevere, to make correct choices, to direct our lives. Zeal, to fairly sizzle with zeal, fairly sizzle with zeal for all that is to be done by me. To allow our lights to shine joyfully into the world. The power of release, to let go, to free ourselves from all that does not serve. And the power of life itself coursing through our veins, sharpening our mind, connecting us with infinite life. So we sit in gratitude for these powers, knowing that we can always turn. Whenever there's a challenge in our life, we know there is always one or more powers that when we focus there, will bring our answers to us. In gratitude, we breathe in, we release what does not serve, we return our attention to time and place, and when we're ready, we open our eyes. And so it is. There you go.